Call each thing by its right name. By its right name.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 real-life survival movies that left out the real ending.
Don't worry, I won't tell Krakow.
Well done, mate. I had a mixed bag, huh?
For this list, we'll be looking at survival films based on true events that omitted the actual conclusion to the story. In case you still have some movies or history to catch up on, there will be spoilers. Number 10, Everest.
You look terrible.
My stomach's not so good, man.
This dramatized account of the 1996 Mount Everest disaster mostly stays true to the real-life event, only taking a few artistic liberties in its narrative. Scott Fisher's story, however, goes a little further than the film portrays.
I'm done, pal. I'm done. You go send Anatoly. Send Anatoly back with some more.
In reality, a guide was sent back to help him down, but finds him already dead, having partially undressed himself, which is a common occurrence in hypothermia. Fisher's company, Mountain Madness, was later acquired by a husband and wife climbing team. In returning home, Beck Weathers was faced with a slow and painful recovery. In addition to his nose, he had to have his right arm, all the fingers of his left hand, and parts of his 2 feet amputated as well.
Thank you so much, darling.
Number 9, Jungle.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Starring Daniel Radcliffe in the lead role, this film details the 1981 experience of Yossi Ginsberg, an Israeli adventurer who got lost in the Amazon rainforest. After he was separated from his partner, Ginsberg spent the better part of the next 3 weeks stranded in the wild with no resources at his disposal. He was eventually rescued by his partner with the help of some indigenous people, which marked the end of the film. About a decade after his ordeal, Ginsberg returned to the Amazon and helped the indigenous community secure a grant worth over $1 million. This was used to launch a solar-powered eco-lodge in the community, which Ginsberg also handled for 3 years.
You saved my life. You saved mine.
Number 8, Touching the Void.
Because I just wanted to put bomber dead solid axe placements in all the way down. And I was about to swing at the ice again.
Joe Simpson and Simon Yates are 2 British mountaineers who, in 1985, were the first to successfully climb the west face of Ciudad Grande, a mountain in the Peruvian Andes. Their near-fatal exploration was reconstructed in this 2003 docudrama, which won the BAFTA for Outstanding British Film.
The look that he gave to me sticks in my mind. This look of shock and desperation and sort of terror, really. Lots of things in this single look.
Following the ordeal, Simpson sustained extensive leg injuries that required multiple surgeries. Although told by doctors that it was the end of his climbing career, Simpson eventually returned to the rocks after 2 years of physical therapy. Yates also continued climbing, making a trip back to the Peruvian Andes 25 years after their brush with death. The 2 men barely spoke to each other afterwards, only reuniting briefly on the set of this film.
With Simon and I coming back to this place where this pretty awful experience happened, I get the feeling really that we needn't have been here.
Number 7, Togo.
We happy few! We band of champions! Now run, my pups! Run!
This Disney Plus original film tells the story of Leonard Seppala, who was instrumental in preventing a diphtheria epidemic in the town of Nome, Alaska in 1925. Seppala raced with his sled dogs, most notably Togo, whose pivotal role in the Serum Run is accurately represented in the movie.
Magnificent.
In reality, after their incredible run, Seppala and Togo went on a publicized tour across the U.S., which drove up interest in sled dog racing. He capitalized on this enthusiasm, opening his own Siberian Husky kennel, and is largely credited with popularizing the breed in North America. While Togo lived a fulfilling life, he was sadly put down at age 16. and is currently mounted at a sled dog museum in Wasilla, Alaska.
And if you're lucky enough to have known a great one, they never really leave. They stay with you as long as you live, harnessed to your heart, giving their all.
Number 6. Rabbit-proof fence.
One for the 3 girls, Maud.
No!
Bring them out to the blackfellas camp.
No, it's my kid, mine!
It's the law, Maud.
No!
I've got no say in it.
No, mine!
This Australian production is based on the 1996 book Follow the Rabbit-Proof Fence by Doris Pilkington Garimara. The film centers around Garimara's mother, Molly Kelly, who escapes from a forced settlement camp in 1931 with 2 other Aboriginal girls. The girls walk over 1,000 miles along Australia's rabbit-proof fence to return to their families.
I lost one. I lost one.
Molly, who eventually marries and has 2 daughters, is shipped right back to the settlement years later, this time with both of her girls. She makes yet another daring escape, but is ultimately separated from her children, only getting to meet Garimara 21 years later. Although they later established contact and sent each other gifts, Molly passed on in 2004 without ever seeing her second daughter, Annabelle, again. Number 5. Against the Ice. Blinding white snow, sub-zero temperatures, and even a polar bear against the ice perfectly captures the feeling of being stranded in the Arctic.
Shit.
An adaptation of Einar Mikkelsen's 1957 book Two Against the Ice, the film chronicles an expedition to Greenland by Mikkelsen and his engineer Ivar Iverson. While it is a pretty faithful adaptation, there are quite a few artistic choices in the movie that stray from the true story.
Captain, Einar Mikkelsen and Ivar Iverson.
Go, they're waiting for you.
Unlike in the film, the 2 men were never officially acknowledged for their work by the Danish government. Mikkelsen remained active in Greenland, however, becoming the Inspector General of East Greenland from 1934 to 1950. On the other hand, Iverson retired to a quiet life and never returned to the Arctic again.
Happy Christmas, Ivan. Happy Christmas, Captain.
Number 4. Rescue Dawn.
I'm not gonna bail out! I'm not gonna bail out!
Dieter Dengler was a pilot for the U.S. Navy during the Vietnam War who was captured and held prisoner for 6 months. Dengler managed to escape and spent the next 23 days in the jungle before he was found and rescued by an American pilot. His harrowing ordeal was first reconstructed in the documentary Little Dieter Needs to Fly, before it was dramatized in this 2006 film starring Christian Bale.
Empty what is full. Fill what is empty. Scratch where did you say?
The movie gets its happy ending in Dengler's rescue, but the real-life events take a sad turn afterwards. While he regained his physical self, Dengler never fully recovered from his traumatic experience. The decorated pilot was diagnosed with ALS years later and ended up taking his own life.
And the thing is, from that moment on, little Dieter, he needed to fly.
Number 3. Into the Wild.
Is there anybody here? Guess not!
Into the Wild details the life of Christopher McCandless, who hitchhiked across North America and ended up in the Alaskan wilderness. McCandless camped out in an abandoned green bus where he eventually passed on, reportedly due to starvation.
Would you see then what I see now?
After being documented in the biographical book of the same title, McCandless's story became a cultural phenomenon and inspired quite a lot of people to tread the same path as him.
If you want something in life, reach out and grab it.
In the years following the book's publication, many hikers journeyed to McCandless's abandoned bus, with 2 people losing their lives in the process and countless others needing to be rescued. To prevent further harm, the bus was removed from its original location. It currently sits in a museum at the University of Alaska Fairbanks. Number 2. Alive. The true story that inspired this movie is chilling, and its representation on the screen stops short of the full picture. Alive is an account of the aftermath of the Andes flight disaster involving Uruguayan Air Force Flight 571. Crash survivors spent 72 days in the harsh Andes Mountains before they were rescued. This point marks the end of the 1993 dramatization. After returning home, the survivors were heavily criticized when it was revealed that they had resorted to eating their dead friends for sustenance.
We shouldn't murder innocents to live.
What about our innocence? What's going to become of our innocence if we survive as cannibals?
Even with such a great loss to bear, the father of one of the dead victims was arrested for grave robbing when he went up to the mountain himself to retrieve his son's remains after they were buried. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into Settings and switch on your notifications. Number 1. 127 Hours. An extraordinary story of survival, 127 Hours was described by its real-life subject to be, quote, as close to a documentary as you can get. The film depicts the ordeal of Aaron Ralston, an adventurer who has to amputate his own arm to free himself after he's trapped by a boulder. It concludes with Ralston being found and airlifted to safety.
I need help!
While retrieving his severed hand, park authorities realized just how heavy the boulder was, as it took 13 men and some lifting equipment to move it. Ralston's agonizing experience never deterred him. He continued climbing, and just 2 years later became the first solo individual to climb all of Colorado's 14ers in winter. He is now a motivational speaker.
The crisis happens, the boulder falls on us. We understand, we intuitively know what it is that we're going to have to do to manage this, to change, to adapt to it, and yet we resist it. I don't want to.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.